Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Oh, we're going to talk about Donald Trump recently babbled on and on about going after Greenland. And he said 20 days. 20 days. So, probably before the end of this month, they're going to make an attempt on Greenland. And then he keeps making this claim that America needs Greenland for national security. It's a load of BS. And he knows he's lying, but this is what Donald Trump does. And I do believe when I heard he wants to control the entire Western Hemisphere. That's what he wants. And Donald Trump is the least qualified of probably every president that we've had. Donald Trump is not even qualified to run this country. The whole Western Hemisphere, that's a lot of tough talk for a man with dementia. That's all I got to say. So we're going to listen to this babbling this man is doing. He is really out of his mind, but this is the psyche of these men. It really is. They have an attitude of entitlement. They believe everything should belong to them. And, just like with Venezuela, how is that earning something? But these folks are, didn't he say this was going to be a merit-based society? Well, where's the merit in stealing somebody's land? Where the hell is the merit in that? Oh boy. Unbelievable, y'all. Unbelievable. I did post in the chat my Give, Send, Go. Just in case you were not here for my first live, I have to have surgery on my right arm. I have nerve damage, and it's been impacting my day-to-day function. I'm still getting through everything, but I haven't been pain-free in quite some time now. So they feel that the best solution is to go in and cut out the damaged part of my nerve and just allow me to heal. So, um, in fact, I have a date. My surgery will be February 18th. February 18th is the day of my surgery. So, I am not looking forward to being sliced open, even if it's just my arm. I don't like being cut on. But I also have to deal with the reality. I don't want to go through this whole year feeling the way that I do. So I have to do something about it. And I am. So please keep me in prayer. If you are able to donate, every dime will help go towards my surgery and my healing. So I deeply appreciate the people that have donated. I pray the Most High will double and triple it back to you. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Let's see here. No, that one. Yes, it's this one. Okay, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Can you rule out that the U.S. is ever going to try to take Greenland by force?
Well, let me go back a step. The president has been clear for months now. So I know you're treating this as breaking news. The president has been clear for months now that the United States should be the nation that has Greenland as part of our overall security apparatus. The United
Right,
States,
but your wife posted that like hours after the Venezuela operation. That's why it's newly relevant.
I'll talk with you about it for an hour. I think it's a really important conversation. I just wanted to reset, Jake, by making clear that it has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake, I understand you're trying very hard to, which again is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm trying to get an answer to the question.
That says Miller refuses to rule out the United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
We'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days. By the way, I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
Greenland again.
We need Greenland for national security, not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look.
Now, does what he's saying make any sense? We need Greenland for national security. We need Greenland? No, we don't. No, we don't. Y'all, Donald Trump is a thief. He is a thief. He is now using his position to justify stealing whole nations. And I don't know, I might get into this, but it may be tomorrow. The UN had an emergency meeting after Donald Trump took Venezuela and took the president and his wife out of there. And Denmark and some of the other European nations are saying if Donald Trump takes Greenland, they are going to take action against the US. They are. I guess they're not going to do it in Venezuela. Too many brown people down there. But we know Greenland is not brown people. But they're already saying they are prepared to take action if Donald Trump makes any attempt to take Greenland. So we shall see what's happening, but he's sure chattering about it a lot. Let's go on.
Up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place.
Okay, so predictably, the reaction has been the same as last time. Eye rolls, jokes, headlines, treating it like it's some eccentric obsession. But if you actually step back and look at what's going on in the world right now, what the United States just did with Venezuela, the threats against Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, it actually makes a lot more sense than people want to admit. So let me explain. Look at where Greenland is on a map. Greenland is right there. It sits really on our side of the globe. And Trump doesn't want anyone else, not even a NATO ally, controlling it. This is part of what he calls his Don Road Doctrine. So not the Monroe Doctrine, but the Dunroe Doctrine that he's calling it, which the White House put out this image today, this is our hemisphere. So very clearly, the Trump administration is trying to secure the Western Hemisphere for the United States to be under the United States' influence. And Greenland, which sits in the Arctic corridor between North America and Europe, which is close to the U.S. Thule Air Force Base. Let's go ahead and take a look at that map again. This is a very strategic location for not only the United States, because it is on our side of the world, but also this is a strategic location for those who want to do some Arctic shipping. And as the ice melts, it has been opening up new Arctic sea lanes and resource access. And China in 2018 released an Arctic white paper, is what it was called, explicitly framing the Arctic as part of the Polar Silk Road, is what they called it. This is linked to their Belt and Road Initiative. So since 2018, they've had their eye on this Arctic region, this Polar Silk Road, as ice has melted and new routes are opening up. And now the Trump administration is panicking over this. And I don't know if I can really blame the guy. I mean, I understand that what the United States doesn't want, and what is part of the Dunroe Doctrine, this is our hemisphere doctrine, is we don't want China, Russia, or Iran, or any other power anywhere else. I mean, even British influence, even European influence, that's part of the Monroe Doctrine. We don't want any of them on our side of the world. It's okay if the U.S. dominates, and we could sit there and we can argue about that all day long, whether or not the United States should have dominant control over all of these various smaller countries in Latin America and Central America. But that is the Dunroe Doctrine. The thinking is we can control them, but no one else can. It's got to be us or nobody else. If I can't have you, nobody can, and you'll die. And that's kind of essentially.
The reason Trump is threatening to take over Greenland and why it has the potential to start World War III is, one, he's working with Putin, and two, it has the potential to destroy NATO and the EU. First, Greenland is part of the U.S. NATO system that monitors and deters Russian military activity in the North Atlantic and the Arctic, like submarines and missiles. And Putin would like that to stop, so Trump takes over Greenland and starts looking the other way. Now, Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, often known as the Unity of the Realm. And Denmark's prime minister has urged Trump to stop threatening to take over Greenland. Now, Denmark is part of NATO, but so is the U.S. So if the U.S. invades Greenland, then Denmark can call for Article 4, which under the treaty falls under the We Feel Threatened clause. But NATO as an organization is very unlikely to respond militarily because the U.S. would be at the same table where they need consensus, and the U.S. could potentially block that. So what happens next? Not everyone will be willing to just let the U.S. take over Greenland. And the reason this has the potential to start World War III is because this could divide NATO and the EU, because we have no idea where people will land on this. We have become the Germany of the world now, and I just hope that it doesn't take the rest of the world as long as it took us to step in during World War II.
Greenland is, in the president's words, so strategic right now, saying it's covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. What are your thoughts? How are leaders reacting?
Yeah, I want to bring you some comments straight away, Kira, from Mette Frederiksen, some more comments from the Danish Prime Minister. And in an interview on Danish TV, she is being quoted as saying that she believes that anyone should take Donald Trump's threats about wanting Greenland seriously. And then she goes on to say that if the US were to attack Greenland, then she believes that would be the end of the NATO alliance, the end of the security structure, the transatlantic relationship since the end of World War II. Now, Donald Trump has not threatened to attack Greenland. I think it's important to point out, but he has repeatedly said he wants Greenland. And clearly the timing after what's happened in Venezuela, I think, has set more alarm bells ringing across Europe. Look, what is striking, looking at all of the commentary from European leaders who are lining up behind Denmark, because remember, Greenland is an autonomous region of Denmark. European leaders are very much on the same page. They're all saying their support is very much solid for Denmark in this issue, that European sovereignty cannot be threatened by anyone, and that, you know, the NATO alliance is the underpinning, and Denmark is a member of NATO. So, look, European leaders are struggling with the unorthodoxy of the Trump administration on multiple issues, on Ukraine, on Greenland, on the US national security strategy, which was published at the end of last year, which really, ripped up the rule book in terms of the US relationship with Europe and basically said that the US administration under Donald Trump was going to push for more nationalist governments in Europe. So if you're Viktor Orban in Hungary, you're pretty happy at what's happening. If you are most European leaders right across this continent, they are very worried, they're very concerned, but they are very careful with their words because any European leader never wants to upset any US administration, including the Trump administration. So, they are lining up behind Denmark, but they're also being careful not to say anything too provocative to upset the US, who ultimately they still rely on for security in this continent.
We need Greenland for national security, not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need it for national security. We have to have it. And he wanted to lead the charge. So we're making him, Marco, today, a special envoy to Greenland.
Greenland is not for sale. That's the message Denmark's prime minister sent after urging President Trump to stop suggesting that the United States should annex the island.
We need Greenland.
An idea he's brought up multiple times.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Outlets like Newsweek and Yahoo News report that Trump sees Greenland as strategically important because of its Arctic location, natural resources, and a long-standing military base. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen pushed back, saying the US has no right to annex any part of the Danish kingdom, and Greenlanders call this idea unrealistic and unwanted. Now, this dispute is happening as the Arctic becomes way more important globally. Melting ice is opening new shipping routes, and both Russia and China are increasing their activity in the region. Now, historically, US interest in buying Greenland has come up during major world tensions, from expansion after the Civil War to right after World War II, because the island's location has always been seen as strategically valuable. Today, international law and Greenland's self-governing status make any transfer of control nearly impossible, and both Denmark and Greenland say only Greenlanders can decide their future. Supporters of Trump's comments argue that the Arctic's growing importance makes a stronger US influence reasonable. Critics, including analysts cited by DW and ABC News, warn that this kind of talk strains relations with a key NATO ally and adds pressure on an already tense region. For people in Greenland, the situation brings worries about cultural identity and political pressure. For Americans, the effects are mostly indirect, including possible diplomatic friction and shifts in Arctic policy. And despite all of the attention, experts say any chances of annexation actually happening are extremely low. So here's the big question. Should the US control Greenland, or is bringing it back up weakening diplomatic relations between the US and Denmark? Let us know in the comments and follow us here for more.
Washington's sights also set on Greenland, a territory of Denmark, a NATO ally. US President Trump repeatedly stating his desire for the Arctic island for its natural resources and strategic position between Europe and North America.
We need Greenland from a national security situation.
This post on social media by Katie Miller, the wife of Trump aide Stephen Miller, hinting that US desire could soon become reality.
For det første, så mener jeg, at man skal tage den amerikanske præsident alvorligt, når han siger, at han ønsker Grønland. Men jeg vil også gøre klart, at hvis USA vælger at angribe et andet NATO-land militært, så hører alting op. Altså inklusiv vores NATO og dermed den sikkerhed, som er blevet tilvejebragt siden afslutningen på 2. verdenskrig.
Okay. Yeah, well, this is going to be something else. I knew Donald Trump's presidency was going to be, it definitely was not going to be uninteresting, but he's starting out the new year trying to swipe people's land. This is definitely going to be very interesting, but I might show y'all some of the NATO emergency meeting they had after he took Venezuela. And, his envoy was talking like, oh, well, we're going to make it better. We're going to bring democracy. America has never brought democracy to one single country, y'all. They say this all the time. But when you really look at these nations, remember, they were bringing democracy to Libya. Then they were bringing democracy to Afghanistan and Iraq, and none of those nations have democracy. None of them. And they're not going to bring democracy to Venezuela either. It's all talk, empty talk. But it is something they say all the time. But reality is, America has never invaded a country and then made it better. It has never happened, not even once. But I guess their inflated ego tells them that they're doing something good. There is nothing good in what Donald Trump is doing. What he is doing is eventually going to lead to war. Everybody is not going to just sit quietly as he storms in and steals their land. It is just, it may have happened with Venezuela, but some of these other places he's talking about, I don't think they're going to be quiet. I really don't. I think they're going to meet Donald Trump with fire that he's not expecting. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And also another announcement, starting at midnight until Saturday, the flaxseed aloe vera for hair growth will be on sale. And the reason why I am putting this on sale is because during the time of, my cyber sales from Black Friday through the 24th of December, I did not really have that available. And people were asking about it. So I said, okay, well, whenever I have it available and, I'm able to make a big batch of it, I will put it on sale. So that's what I'm doing. Because I know a lot of people that said they're getting really good results from it. And I'm always happy to hear those stories, y'all. When you tell me the products are working for you, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that you are getting good results and you're seeing some healthy growth and your hair is bulking up and getting thicker. That's a wonderful thing to hear. So, everybody, I have one more live, and that's at 5:45, where Donald Trump is saying if the Republicans don't win the midterms, he will get impeached. So I will see you then. And anybody that's looking for my Send, Give, Go, that is in the community tab. You will see the link right there. So thank you for, again, the people that donate to my surgery. And again, I pray the Most High, whatever amount you give, I hope he triples and quadruples that back to you. Shalom, family.